Is Grand Theft Auto 6 woke?
Well, no. Actually, no.
Okay, Torino. Many people are having panic attacks regarding rumors that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be woke, simply because Rockstar announced they will go easy on crunch time as well as easing up on, and I quote, jokes about marginalized groups. This made your average gamer triggered because the tablets of stone that Moses held put the secret 11th commandment that everybody knows is real. Go woke, go broke. Now, let's break down the arguments you hear. No. GTA does not go after everyone. It's not low-hanging fruit. And if you focus on that, you'll actually see they use jokes in a clever manner. The way people say this argument makes it seem like GTA offends every group because boo-hoo, fuck everyone equally. GTA is not in fact offensive. It is, however, a satire of the media, capitalism, and America. While the games do have misogynistic, racist, bigoted, and downright insane characters, that is not the message of the games. It is a parody. Look into Joe and Joseph from Grand Theft Auto 5, the Civil Border Patrol. They fit the bigoted nature I just mentioned earlier. They hunt illegal immigrants to deport them, but in reality, those illegal immigrants are actually American citizens who happen to be Hispanic, even throwing out citizenship papers of a so-called illegal.
It's time for you to go home to Mexico, sir.
What are you talking about? This is my home. I have my papers right here.
Oh, yeah? Well, let me see that.
That is not Rockstar saying, yeah, America, fuck immigrants, what is a kilometer? It is instead saying, these people who believe immigrants are the cause of problems are idiots. Not only this, but despite them being seemingly patriotic Americans, Joseph himself is actually a Russian immigrant who doesn't speak English. Yet despite that, Joe still accepts him, making fun of that whole rules for thee, not for me situation. Similar to asking a white supremacist the nationality of his girlfriend. Add on this, Joseph has a misunderstanding of America, as one of his lines is, God Save the Queen, which is the British national anthem, which is not related to the United States, and the fact that he does a Nazi salute. Yeah. This argument is a faulty generalization, also known as correlation does not imply causation. Just because Saints Row 2022 had woke aspects and failed massively does not mean GTA 6 will be. I'm not gonna describe the entire situation, but to summarize, there was executive meddling from Deep Silver that caused the woke stuff people cry about. But when you look into Saints Row 2022, the woke stuff was not even the worst part. The game failed due to a lot of things, and wokeness wasn't even the main reason. It's a combination of a terrible PR team, lying about the game being similar in tone to Saints Row 2, previous entries that weren't up to standard like Saints Row 4 and Agents of Mayhem, and publisher switch. As for the game itself, it was glitchy, had generally bad level and game design, and on top of this, the corny ass millennial writing and bad story. Moving on. Because God forbid, Grand Theft Auto 1 gave you the ability to play as a female protagonist, but also Grand Theft Auto Online did that too. Various games by Rockstar featured strong female characters, like Sadie Adler from Red Dead Redemption 2 and Catalina from GTA 3 and San Andreas, to name a few. Taking Saints Row into account as well, starting from the second Saints Row onward, which people regard as the best Saints Row game, allowed you to make female characters. But doesn't matter if you play a male or a female character, the story plays out the same with minimal dialogue differences. It's still a cake no matter how it's cut. Many people say this because of the trailer featuring a short-form social media and other things that have a modern-day 2020s vibe. But GTA 3, 4, and 5 were contemporary, meaning they took place during the same year they released in. GTA 6 including a ripoff of TikTok is not unusual, and is in fact something to be expected. Since Grand Theft Auto 4 gave you the ability to access the in-game internet through computers and laptops, which was a fun thing to do, admittedly. While the iPhone and other smartphones came out in the late 2000s, smartphones were not seen in Grand Theft Auto 4, except maybe Luis's phone, which is based off of the HTC Hero, a phone that debuted months before the Ballad of Gay Tony released.
Yeah.
However, that's an oversight since the game is set in 2008, but the phone was made in 2009. Widespread smartphone usage wasn't a thing until the early 2010s, hence explaining why phones were kinda bare bones in Grand Theft Auto 4. In Grand Theft Auto 5, however, which takes place in late 2013, all the phones used by protagonists are smartphones, based off of the iPhone, BlackBerry Curve, Nokia Lumia 820, and all of those being smartphones, it made sense to give them the ability to surf the internet and have more features without relying on computers like Grand Theft Auto 4 did. And let's not forget, people had the same belief when Grand Theft Auto 5 had 3 protagonists, Every game has to have a unique thing to it. In essence, upgrades, people. Upgrades. There's people who have this as an argument. But no, Rockstar has always been political. GTA always had politics. Vice City mocked Reagan-era capitalism and had a story that started because of drugs, tackling the crack epidemic of the 1980s. San Andreas also tackled the crack epidemic to a degree, but also had corruption and gang violence. Grand Theft Auto 4 tackled the failures of the American dream and dealing with past demons, and Grand Theft Auto 5 tackled, well, a lot of things. Government corruption, materialism, social media, late-stage capitalism, and a lot of things. The only reason people believe this argument now is because nobody really cared about the politics while playing the games when they were kids. When I was a kid, I didn't focus on the subtleties. I only wanted to drive recklessly, fire guns, and commit crimes. But nowadays you have the manosphere mules that beat down every door to check if something is woke, and have a seizure when they see something mildly left-leaning, and refuse to give something a shot, or even an objective opinion simply because woke bad. If that is your consideration, why weren't people mad at Bernie from Grand Theft Auto 4 being gay? Or hey, Gay Tony from, well, The Ballad of Gay Tony? Or what about Red Dead Redemption 2 and Charles Smith, who is black and Native American? DEI much? Not to mention with Bernie from GTA 4, Nico implies that he finds homophobia to be insanity, which by anti-woke logic is pushing an agenda. So where's the outrage on that? What's up with that? Now, dear viewers, I believe I need help with continuing this point. It's time to bring in the big guns. Oh,
Did somebody say big guns?
not literally. Get out, guys.
Fine. Take it back, Djibouti.
Man, that was awkward. Anyway, I'll bring a good friend who's skilled on the topic. The man, the myth, the legend, SWEGTA. Alright, take it away, Sweg.
And one thing that I've always found weird about the anti-SJW type YouTubers, I guess nowadays they're called anti-woke. You know, it used to be PC, then it was SJW, now it's woke. Same shit, different branding. Anyhow, one thing that I've always found really absurd about them is that they constantly talk about how people on the left, or so-called, you know, snowflakes, SJWs, woke people, whatever they call them nowadays, they always claim that these people are looking for something to be offended by. And in some cases, they are. Whether you are on the left or the right, you are gonna find people in your camp who are overly sensitive about any given issue. But it's just fucking ridiculous to me that nowadays a lot of the people who would go around calling people triggered snowflakes and SJWs, nowadays, those very people are looking for things in video games to be offended by. I make videos on Rockstar Games, and I remember when there was just a rumor, not even confirmed yet, just a rumor that GTA 6 was gonna have a female protagonist. And people got upset over it. That is, until the GTA 6 leaks happened, and all of those people saw that, wow, the female protagonist is actually kinda hot. You would think they would have a change of heart at that point, but no, instead what ended up happening is they looked for something else to be offended by. At first, some of them were just complaining about GTA 6's first trailer having too many asses in them, I guess. I also saw some people like Anthony Cumia complaining about the abundance of black people in it. Now, to be fair, that was not the majority of people on the anti-woke side. Nonetheless, they are still looking for something to be upset over. For instance, nowadays, they're complaining about supposed pride parades being in the game, with NPCs that you can't harm in any way.
So, this is confirmed. You can find small pride parades, and those NPCs are literally unkillable. The pride parade is confirmed in the game, and not just a mod.
There's no confirmation of this being in the game whatsoever. It's just like, they've just made this shit up, and it makes me wonder, doesn't it prick your conscience ever so slightly that you're just lying to people? Apologies for taking the moral high ground. I know that's a thing that the internet doesn't like, but at the same time, I just have to ask, what is wrong with you? If there's one thing that I just want to ask of you, and I know, you know, just me being belligerent here, it's not gonna win me any favors with the right-wingers, but at the same time, if there's one thing that I would just ask of you as human beings, it's be upset over things that actually exist or are factual, please. At least when Abraham J. Simpson yelled at a cloud, there was a cloud. By the way, in the clip that you just saw, they make it clear that this is not a modification for GTA 6. Nobody modified the game files to make this happen. This has been officially added to the game. Number one, no it hasn't. And number two, How the fuck would you modify this game even? It hasn't been released. And this brings me to another point. A lot of these people are not at all emotionally invested in what they're talking about. They're feigning outrage because they know it's gonna rile some of you up.
So, like, I don't really care enough to react to the trailer itself.
I know me being kinda arrogant in this clip is probably not gonna win you over, but I do implore you to reconsider. Alright, back to Barty X.
Thank you, Sweg. Anyway, as SWEGTA said, those people throw the buzzword that's supposed to make you rage, that being woke, without really engaging through with the content. They want something clickbaity to use to pull people in to watch their boring slop content that really doesn't bring any transformative or worthy ideas. They claim it's the woke mind virus, but really the only mind virus I see is scrolling constantly to see stuff like this, stupid stuff to get mad about. It's performative outrage. Rockstar and GTA have always pushed boundaries in many ways, politically, socially, and culturally. At the end of the day, the outrage around GTA 6 being woke just doesn't really hold up. Not when you look at the series, honestly. Not when you actually play the games, instead of playing the algorithm and focusing on the moral anti-woke high ground. Because GTA has always been political, diverse, hectic, and messy. Each game had its thing that arguably gave it focus, or even controversy at times. Like the hot coffee minigame from GTA San Andreas, the torture mission from GTA 5, and lots of other moments. Now, your mileage may vary, but at least those things push the boundaries to a degree, and I would rather have it like that instead of every GTA game being the same boring experience with a different coat of paint that does the same thing over and over. Cough, cough. And part of me believes that GTA 6 will push the boundaries in some way. Rockstar has not entirely lost it. People talk constantly about how the departure of Leslie Benzies, Laszlo, and Dan Houser means that GTA 6 will be ruined. But considering what's going on with Mind's Eye and its launch, I wouldn't think they're bad without Leslie Benzies or the other members. Really, only time will tell. And there is a year of waiting until we can find out if GTA 6 will be bad or not. And what's ironic is that a lot of these people freaking out over the word woke are the same people who say, "Calm down, Snowflake, it's called dark humor." Now that the satire might actually include them in some form, it's suddenly a problem. You know, it's kind of like the songs American Idiot and Little Dark Age, and how they are progressive songs, yet conservatives thought they were songs about woke bad. GTA has always held a mirror to society, admittedly a funhouse mirror, but it always has been there, and the mirror did not change. The world around it has changed, so the moral of the story is, fellas, please have some media literacy. Anyway, huge thanks to SWEGTA for teaming up with me on this video. If you're not already subscribed to him, make sure you do. Sweg knows his stuff, especially when it comes to stuff like Rockstar Games and Bully, and I'm genuinely glad we got to collaborate on this. Sweg has always been a great friend of mine, and I've actually collaborated with him once in a Gary's Mod animation, but that aside, having him on a topic like this is great. To break this stuff down with someone who actually understands the topic. Again, thanks Sweg. And to everyone watching, whether you agree, disagree, or just came along for the ride, either as my fans, Sweg's fans, or a new viewer of both, thank you for sticking around. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, join the Discord, check SWEGTA's channel too. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.